Yes, just because you're able to go to work with a smile every day, pay your bills on time, have a social life, doesn't mean you don't have depression. And just because you're able to get out of bed and you're not crying or suicidal, doesn't mean you should continue to ignore it. Persistent depressive disorder, also known as dysthymia, has been described as a high functioning depression because many who deal with this are able to cope, yet continue to suffer internally. And it affects close to 2 million people in the US alone. Stick around for 3 tips to help you recognize and manage chronic depression. This is Real Life Psych. Welcome back, guys. For those of you new to my channel, my name's Alexa Simos, and I'm a licensed therapist as well as certified alcohol and drug abuse counselor. You're watching another episode of Not So Scary Sundays, where we break down common issues that have a significant influence on our mental and physical health, whether we realize it or not. New episodes come out every Sunday at 9 a.m. Central Time. So if that morning coffee hasn't quite hit you yet, or you're still in bed because it's just easier to pretend your entire to-do list just magically doesn't exist, well, consider this the first productive thing you've done today. Wait, what's that? Hold on. The results are in. And the Oscar for the best performance in acting like everything's fine goes to you and the 6% of the US population who suffer from persistent depressive disorder. So, on today's show, we're going to talk about depression, but not the more known form, which is major depressive disorder, or MDD. But instead, we're going to talk about persistent depressive disorder, also known as dysthymia. To be diagnosed with MDD, you need to have low mood and 5 depressive symptoms for at least 2 weeks. On the other hand, people with persistent depressive disorder need to have a low mood, but only 2 depressive symptoms. However, it will persist for over 2 years. People have gone so far as to wrongfully call persistent depressive disorder high-functioning depression because people who suffer from persistent depressive disorder are thought to have a higher ability to cope than those who suffer from major depressive disorder. They're seen as your everyday person that from the outside looks like everything is fine, but on the inside, that song, Because You Had a Bad Day, is on repeat. So think of persistent depressive disorder as a depression that's going on so long, you just have to learn to live with it. As you can imagine, depression can affect every aspect of your life, like how you manage your finances, your ability to stay fit, maintain relationships. And research shows that people with depression are 1.5 times more likely to have a heart attack. In fact, this study from 2010 looked at 97 people with depression after their first heart attack. And those with persistent depressive disorder were more likely to have a second heart attack within 2.5 years than those with major depressive disorder. I say that to say that coping with depression for over 2 years does have serious consequences. Here are 3 tips to help you recognize and manage chronic depression. Number 1, recognize symptoms. According to the DSM-5, symptoms consist of low mood for most days, and you have to have 2 of the following: poor appetite or overeating, insomnia or hypersomnia, low energy or fatigue, low self-esteem, poor concentration or difficulty making decisions, and feelings of hopelessness. You have to have 2 of those 6 symptoms plus low mood, and it has to be persistent for 2 years. This is the first step. Do not ignore these changes in your daily habits. Number 2, recognize risk factors. Risks include a stressful or traumatic life event, chronic illness like diabetes, brain trauma like a concussion, a family history of depression, history of other mental illnesses like anxiety, or a chemical imbalance in the brain. It's very important to understand that these risk factors are not necessarily in our control, so that we don't internalize and self-blame for the source of depression. Life happens, but it's important to slow down and take care of ourselves along the way. Number 3, take action. This is a lot easier said than done, but here's how you can begin. First, start by seeing a doctor. As we know, depressive symptoms can be caused by underlying medical conditions. Make sure those are ruled out before seeking therapy or taking antidepressants. For example, get your iron, vitamin, and thyroid levels checked to make sure that there's no underlying conditions responsible for your symptoms. Secondly, find a therapist or a support group in your area. Understand that every therapist is not for everyone, and it's okay if you have to try a few. It takes time, and ultimately, everyone's journey is different. Lastly, exercise. Just a little bit of daily exercise, whether it's cardio or strength training, has been shown to help alleviate mood and energy levels. And don't forget the health benefits. We'll definitely talk about more treatment options in other videos. I just wanted to start with this. I'll leave you with this. In 2019, with more than 50 million people of the US population diagnosed with mental illness, only 20 million of those 50 received treatment. Studies go on to say that it usually takes 11 years from the onset of symptoms before someone seeks treatment. But at the same time, people with depression have a 40% higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease. Listen, you are the main character in your life. The days of being tough and just saying, "I'm fine," are over. Let's work together in breaking the stigmas against depression. The time is now for you to take care of your mental health. It's okay to not be okay sometimes, but let's spend more constructive time reflecting on it than suppressing it. Remember, self-improvement begins with self-awareness. That's it for today's episode. Leave a comment below if there are any topics you want to go further in depth about. Make sure to hit the like button so that we can help share this video to whoever may need it. See you guys next week.